This is my favorite part. Exciting!
Apex Legends is the latest Battle Royale game to join the genre. However, it has a number of unique twists that set it apart from the crowd. And one of the most interesting is that the characters and the Apex games themselves have stories and lore behind them.
So, you think you've got what it takes?
The Apex games are a blood sport, where talented warriors from all corners of the frontier join together in three-person squads to compete for money, fame and glory. The arenas used for the games are on a remote cluster of planets on the fringes of the frontier called the Outlands. These isolated planets are one of the few places in the region that were left untouched by the Frontier War. So when the battles finally ended, they became somewhat of an oasis of opportunity and resources in an otherwise barren area. However, this attracted countless pioneers, explorers and outlaws who all found themselves locked in an endless and bloody power struggle. And so the Apex games were born. They were created as a way for these groups and individuals to settle their differences. However, over time, they've grown, and now the games attract millions of viewers and combatants with incredible skills and powers. Some of them fight for fame and wealth, while others seek to uncover hidden truths or simply test their skills. So, let's meet the legends.
Tell Death I said hello.
Wraith's real name, age, and even her home planet are unknown. However, this swift and deadly fighter is making a name for herself in the Apex games thanks to her incredible powers. Years ago she woke up in a mental asylum with no memory of her past life, and then to make matters worse, a distant voice began whispering into her mind, keeping her awake for days on end. The voice nearly drove her insane. However, eventually she began to listen to it, and it helped her to harness her newfound powers of void manipulation.
Looking for me?
These portals let her escape the facility, and now she is determined to uncover her true identity and find out the source of these newfound abilities. There are many old research facilities now buried beneath the heavily guarded arenas used for the Apex games. For most people, they will be inaccessible, but as a competitor, she's able to get closer to the truth with every match.
Right, so I think we're all in agreement that I'm the
They
one
know
who...
where you are. You've been spotted. Grenade.
The voice in her mind gives her constant warnings of incoming danger, allowing her to avoid attacks that would catch others by surprise. Then her control over the void lets her turn invulnerable and even open a tear in reality to teleport her entire team to new locations.
Now you see me, now you don't. Sorry, did I confuse you?
Mother.
Elliot Witt, otherwise known as Mirage, is the kind of guy who wants to stand out. Born the youngest of four brothers, he's perfected the art of getting attention and fooling around. However, there's always been one thing that he takes seriously. His mother was the engineer who invented the holopilot technology that could create illusions to trick the enemy on the battlefield. Elliot was fascinated by this invention and pored over the mechanics and learned everything he could about how it worked. However, over the years of the Frontier War, all three of his brothers went missing, leaving Elliot an only child. He divided his time between working with his mother to develop the devices and serving as a bartender to make ends meet. And it was during this time at the bar that he heard the amazing stories from his patrons about the Apex games and the wealth and glory that came with victory. However, he knew the games were dangerous, and he decided he couldn't risk leaving his mother childless. Until the day that she gave him a set of customised holo devices and told him to follow his dream. Mirage is now the life of the games and one of its most beloved combatants. His tech allows him to use holographic decoys to confuse the enemy and even become invisible. His ultimate combines both of these features by deploying a team of decoys around him as a distraction, while Mirage himself vanishes from sight.
This was just a lovely time. Thank you for this. I believe with 10 kills, the loot should be mine. That's a made-up number.
Pathfinder is a mobile robotic versatile entity, more commonly known as a Marvin. However, this model has been modified to specialise in location scouting and surveillance.
Hey, that's me!
He booted up decades ago in an abandoned laboratory with no idea who created him or why, so he set out into the world in search of his maker. He travelled far and wide and learnt many things, but even after many years of searching, he came no closer to uncovering who created him, so he came up with a new plan. By competing in the Apex games, he can grow in fame and notoriety, which he hopes will be enough to catch the attention of his maker. His modifications make him particularly adept at traversing the arena with his grappling hook or gaining insider knowledge on where the ring's next location will be, allowing his team to reposition before anyone else. Then his ultimate ability lets his whole team move quickly along a zipline to gain a tactical advantage.
Game over. Thanks for playing. High five?
I am Bloodhunder. You can call me Bloodhound.
Bloodhound is known in the Outlands as one of the greatest game hunters the Frontier has ever seen, but their real identity remains a complete mystery. Rumours say they are fabulously wealthy, a bloodthirsty murderer, a Goliath whisperer, a former slave, or even a half-bat monstrosity. But all anyone truly knows about Bloodhound is that they are one of the most deadly warriors in the Apex games. Their tracking skills are unmatched, allowing them to root out hidden targets or track enemy movements. Bloodhound believes their abilities are a gift from the Old Norse gods, and that they guide everyone along the path of destiny, and eventually to their death. But with that knowledge, Bloodhound draws strength, knowing that until the day the gods decide it's time for them to die, they cannot be stopped by any mere mortal. These gifts from the gods allow Bloodhound to see hidden enemies, traps, and even where his foes have been recently, making him a deadly hunter. However, his ultimate goes beyond this, turning him into the beast of the hunt itself, enhancing his senses to highlight enemies and allowing him to move much faster.
Ahead, Vitaka Victory and Slatra.
Get ready for a world of hurt.
Sergeant First Class Anita Williams, callsign Bangalore, is an IMC soldier of exceptional skill. 3 years ago, Anita and her brother Jackson were a part of a unit sent to retrieve a mercenary fleet from the Outlands. However, their unit lost contact with their headquarters and they were ambushed by militia forces upon their arrival. Their squad scattered, but her brother stayed behind, giving Anita time to escape. Now she's alone and stranded on an isolated planet with no way home. However, the Apex games have provided her with a way to raise enough money to pay for passage back to the IMC home base, where she hopes to reunite with what remains of her family. Her extensive training has made her a deadly force in the games. Her quick reactions mean that she can sprint faster while taking fire from the enemy, or use a smoke launcher to obscure her team's movements. And then her ultimate ability allows her to call in an artillery strike to decimate a wide area.
Real men use iron sights? I use heavy artillery.
Small up yourself. It just shit's coming true.
Lifeline isn't someone you would normally find in the Apex games. She was born into a family of wealthy war profiteers, but left home when she realised the damage her family had caused. To try and make amends, she enlisted in the Frontier Corps, a humanitarian organisation that aids communities in need. However, the Corps needs more funding, so Lifeline enlisted in the games so that she could pass on her winnings to the organisation. Every one of her victories means more help for those in need, but that also means that she needs to compete in this brutal blood sport. And while she's convinced herself that she doesn't mind, she does prefer to focus on healing and supporting her team rather than slaughtering their foes.
Kodai Squad wins again.
Their deaths still carry honor.
Poor bastards.
Check out the loot. They left Gibraltar.
She might seem sarcastic and callous, but deep down, she wants to help people and make the Frontier a better place. And if that means taking down a few people in the arena, then so be it. She's a talented medic with experience in the field, meaning that she can revive knockdown teammates faster while under the protection of a shield. She can also use healing items quicker or provide support with her healing drone. Then her ultimate lets her call in a care package of high quality defensive gear.
Remember this, I'm the one you should have concerns about.
Weighing in at 265 pounds and standing at 6'4", Makoa Gibraltar is a giant of a man with a heroic reputation. Both his parents were Saras volunteers, meaning they spent their lives getting people out of dangerous situations. However, Gibraltar only really began to understand the value of protecting others when he and his boyfriend stole his father's motorcycle for a joyride and got trapped in a deadly mudslide. His parents managed to save them, however, his father lost an arm in the process. Gibraltar has never forgotten the sacrifice his father made for him, and so has devoted his life to helping those in need. Over the years since, many of his friends and colleagues have competed in the Apex games for extra money, fame or glory. However, some never came back. This prompted Gibraltar to join himself, to try and keep them safe, and in a fortunate turn of events, the games offered him an opportunity to combine his skills as a rescuer and his rebellious nature together for the first time. He's become an icon of the games and one of its most beloved combatants. He specialises in being on the front lines, with his gun shield blocking incoming fire and the dome of protection guarding his team. And when things get too tense, he can call in a bombardment to deal massive damage.
This is Gibraltar's match.
Not every legend is a hero, and that's truly evident with Caustic.
I don't concern myself with the ambitions of insects.
Before he became the sociopath you see before you, he was known as Alexander Knox, a scientist who worked for the Frontier's leading manufacturer of pesticide gases. Business was good, but the need for stronger and stronger chemicals was growing, and Knox worked night and day to develop them. However, to make sure they worked, he needed to test them on more than inert tissue. He needed something living. While anyone else would view his work as horrific, he could see the beauty in his creations and their ability to destroy everything they touched. However, the head of the lab soon discovered his gruesome experiments and confronted Knox, a confrontation that ended with the lab in flames and the chief dead. Today, Knox is missing and presumed dead. However, secretly, under the alias Caustic, he's joined the Apex Games, where he can experiment in the arena and put his gases to work. His abilities allow him to lay traps to surprise his enemies, and thanks to his mask and goggles, Caustic is unaffected by the chemicals and can even see through the gas. His ultimate is a grenade that blankets the area in an explosion of gas, allowing him to ambush and pick off his foes.
Everything dies.
So those are the stories behind each of the Apex legends, but which one is your favourite? Let me know in the comments below. As always, this is James Vercass, saying thanks for watching, and enjoy the game.
They kill you. They're better. You kill them. You're better.